You're listening to the Public Health Entrepreneurs Podcast with your host, Dr. Charlotte Huntley. Greetings, everyone, and thank you for joining me on this episode. On this podcast, we explore topics of interest at the intersection of public health and entrepreneurship for professionals who are exploring this journey. Now, my name is Dr. Charlotte Huntley, and I'm your host. I'm really excited that you've decided to tune in with me on this episode. Now, I'm a public health entrepreneur, and I have over 20 years of experience in public health and healthcare. And I have been supporting entrepreneurs for many years along this journey. I've also been podcasting since 2017. My topic today to share with you is about productivity. How are we going to make the most of the limited amount of time and energy and resources that we have to drive our businesses forward and ultimately create and develop and grow the businesses of our dreams? That's like the $1 million question. I'm going to share some tips with you that I think are going to be really helpful. You may not be able to implement all of these, but maybe there's one thing that I will share that you can apply in your business, in your situation, to make things a little bit easier, a little bit better for you, and moving you closer toward that goal of creating and developing and cultivating, growing this business of your dreams. Let's dive right in. Now, you may be taking notes, or maybe you're not in a position to take notes, but you can get all the notes on the show notes page for this episode. And we'll tell you that all of the show notes pages are found on our website, publichealthentrepreneurs.com. When you go to the podcast tab, you find the episode by number, and then you'll find all the notes for each episode. This is episode 11. Productivity tips. This is not in particular order. I have some notes, and we're just going to go down the list on my notes. All right. So one way that you can really optimize your time and energy and resources is by setting clear goals. I'm a very goal-oriented person. So I think starting with setting real clear goals can help you in so many ways on so many levels. So you can define what your goals are, be really specific, and you can even break those goals down. So maybe you have a yearly goal or even a 5-year plan, and you break it down by year, or you take your yearly goal and you break it down by quarter or by month, and then you can continue to break the goal down. But having that goal is really important because it gives you a focal point that can help you decide what to do or not to do based on whether it's aligned with that goal. So that's why it's one of my favorites. I guess that's the one thing I would kind of put toward one of the first things to do. Another tip for you is really being able to prioritize your tasks. So again, deciding on that goal that's broken down by the day. And maybe you make a decision. If you've got a very long, aggressive to-do list, then you may decide what gets done by which one of these tasks actually move me closer to achieving that goal that I have set for the day. And that can help you decide what gets pushed off and what actually gets accomplished. Or at least you can prioritize it. This goes at the top of the list. This one can be pushed down toward the bottom of the list because it doesn't exactly move me today, but it's still important. Okay. Another tip is to manage your time wisely. And that's easier said than done in most cases, and that's because maybe it's just me, but I can get in the overwhelmed space really quickly of all the things I have to do. And then all of a sudden I'm caught up in this loop of just thinking about all the things I have to do. And it seems like nothing actually gets done because all I do is think about all the things that need to be done. Okay. So managing your time wisely is really important. For me, sometimes that means scheduling something specific tasks I'm going to do at a certain time because I honor my calendar. So whatever that works for you, managing your time wisely is important. You can use calendars like I do. You can use planners, or there are a lot of productivity apps. Scheduling your tasks, like I said, is very helpful for me. Not only putting it on the calendar, but we have another tool that we use where we can set a timer and get notifications and reminders and so forth. Sometimes those are very helpful if they're not overdone and you become sort of desensitized to them. But in a sense, whatever it takes to help you manage your time is key. And you want to, I say wisely because you don't want to structure your time, and that could also backfire on you. But just manage your time wisely. Another tip is to delegate or outsource. So we can't do everything ourselves as much as we would like to or think that we can. We can't do it all ourselves. So delegating tasks that you can't handle, or my coach often says, just because you can doesn't mean you should. Sometimes it's delegating something to someone else that can do it better and should be doing it better, or should be doing that task, and you should be doing something different. But delegating and outsourcing is a really important skill to hone in on to remain productive and to make the most of your time and energy and resources. It also helps to keep your space and your energy spent in the area that uniquely is like calling on you, something that you need to do that you cannot delegate those other things that can be delegated, but then that reserves the energy that you have for the things that you personally need to do or complete. All right. And then I would say utilize technology. That goes really closely with the delegation. So whatever you're not able to delegate, I would automate or try to use technology to minimize the effort. For example, if you're handwriting documents and letters and long reports, you want to maybe type those into a processing tool. That way you can easily edit and share it with other people. That's just a very, very simple example of use of technology. There are so many other ways that we can use technology to help with this process of streamlining tasks and things that need to be completed to improve your efficiency. My next tip for you is something that my team really prides themselves on, and that is staying organized. I realize that I thrive on organization, and I need to know where things are and to easily get to them. I don't like to waste time looking for something or trying to find things that are just misaligned or not well organized, whether it's documents, folders, files, whatever it is. And my team has a very high, they place organization as a high value. And I appreciate that, because when I am looking for something and we need something, and there's so many kind of moving parts behind the scenes of our business. And as a lot of you are listening as well, and you've worked in places where the organization's been really, really good, and sometimes it's not so good. Or maybe you're not the most organized person, and maybe that you can prioritize having a team member who's really organized, or can appreciate having a team member who's really organized. But staying organized is a great way to make the most of your time and energy and resources, because you're not wasting time looking for things that just aren't organized well. So that goes with your workspace, both your physical and digital environments, and just keeping things organized and clutter free. I'm going to add to that documents and emails. As I say it, almost feeling conflicted because my inbox is crazy. But I do have a team member that has taken over that so that it can be much more organized and things aren't getting lost there. So staying organized can go a very long way with helping you to optimize your time and energy. Another tip, maybe one or two more tips for you. So one more tip is practice self-discipline. Develop these habits of self-discipline, like setting regular work hours. That's something that's, especially when people work from home. If you're a new entrepreneur, you are just always, you're excited about what you're doing, and the tendency is to just kind of blur the lines and keep working, or to go back and forth into your office space and keep working. But really set a regular working hours and a schedule for yourself. And that helps to give you that structure. So think about when you work for other companies, you don't just work around the clock. Keep that structure for yourself, for your business. You want to minimize distractions as much as possible. We all have smartphones of some sort around us, mobile phones. Keeping those notifications off, I'm guilty of this. I have a lot of tabs open on any given browser, really minimizing all of that so that you can stay more focused. And it also keeps you from being distracted. So it's a way of practicing self-discipline. And you want to avoid procrastination. It usually creeps up for me when it's something that I may have a little fear coming in, I'm a little afraid to do, or, I'm pushing that off, or it's a dreaded task, I'll procrastinate. So try to avoid procrastination as a way of practicing self-discipline. And, really stick to your schedule and commit to completing your tasks on time, especially when you're not as motivated. But it keeps you in that. It's a way of practicing self-discipline and in a way of honoring yourself, your business, your structures. Okay. One more tip I guess I will add on here is to just review and adjust as needed or as necessary, because what you put into play now may work for you right now. But in 3 months or 6 months, as things change in your business, you need to review what you're prioritizing or how you're optimizing your time and your energy and what systems you have in place for productivity, because you may need to make some changes and adjustments. So I think it's important to review whatever your productivity strategies are and your performance. How is it performing for you now versus, 6 months ago or a year ago, and make sure that what you have in place is consistently and continuing to work well for you. Ongoing process. But by implementing these productivity tips, I think that we can all optimize our time, energy, and resources and help to drive your business forward, which is ultimately what we want to do, right? I'm wrapping up, but I'm going to ask you to continue to help support the promotion of this podcast by sharing it with your network, your friends, your colleagues, anyone that you think may be interested under this umbrella of public health entrepreneurs. So you can share directly from one of the podcast apps if you happen to be listening right now. You can also share our website, publichealthentrepreneurs.com, with anyone who may be interested. And of course, you are welcome to and invited to write a favorable review of this podcast in Apple Podcasts. I would really appreciate any effort that you take to helping us spread the word and sharing about this podcast. All right, everyone. Until next time, have a fantastic rest of your day. Thank you for listening. Visit publichealthentrepreneurs.com to learn more.